Yeah, a really gutsy performance, I thought, by our team today. We obviously had the overtime win against Notre Dame, and it's just me coming back to SMU. There was a lot of emotions, I think, going into this week. So, really proud of our team. I thought they just dug down and we made plays. I mean, you talk about Cat came in that second quarter and hit those three threes, and then we were able to kind of get our press going. And, I thought SMU did a good job of making a run. But then I was proud of our defense when we needed to get stops. When it came down to the stretch there in that fourth quarter, we created some turnovers and was able to go on a 10-0 run. But that doesn't happen if all of our team isn't connected from the very beginning. So, and I can't say enough about Talia Walker. You talk about one heck of a week and back-to-back 30-point games. I mean, she is showcasing herself in Georgia Tech very well, and I just love the hunger and the passion that she's playing with.
You mentioned the emotion leading up to today.
Yeah.
Can you dig into that a little bit? What was it like in the days since Notre Dame, knowing that SMU was next on your agenda?
Let's just say I want to make it to 8 o'clock today is kind of what I had. I was like, just see if I can, get on the plane. It's taken some time to reflect. Like, this is what it is when you're coming back to a place that meant so much to you and just the people. That is about my experiences. You see here the alumni that are here, players that I've coached, coaches that I've coached with, the fans that are still here. It's just special. I don't know whenever else you get an experience like this in your life, and you're just like, sometimes I was just like, wow, I must have lived my life right, because this is what a great day, to be able to come back here. And just see everybody. Rhonda was able to come to shoot around today, which was great. And, it's like I told her team, in life, it's like people that believe in you. And Rhonda believed in me coming out of high school and allowed me to come here and play basketball. And then secondly, she got me into coaching. Had I didn't ever think I was going into coaching. I had my 2 business degrees from SMU. I was set and ready to go. And, and I've never looked back. And there's so many things that she's been so impactful, with me from 18 to 31 between Rhonda, Lisa, Deneen, Margaret. I'm like, you talk about women that just poured into me and make me the person that I am today. So it's beautiful to be able to share that back with them today.
Given everything you did here as both a player and a coach, does that in some way make today's victory as gratifying as beating a number 18 team like Notre Dame?
I think you want to win every game. That's just kind of how it is. I just think there's more emotions tied to it. So for myself, it's like trying to keep it regulated, keep my own emotions under control, not to put any additional pressure on the kids and just treat it like another game. But it's not. Let's be honest, this isn't another game. It means a lot to be able to come here in front of so many, fans and family and friends, and to be able to bring your team and, being a first-year head coach and being able to show them, like, everybody's been a part of my journey. Like, that's the beauty of this family that I've had, that from my days here at SMU, and they've been here through the good and the bad. And so it's great to be able today to come back and be able to share this with them.
When I talked to Leia post-game, she said that when I asked her about y'all's long-standing relationship, I brought up the trust that you both have in each other, and
yes.
She said one of the reasons she played so hard today was that if you're a former SMU player and former coach here. So what does that mean to you between both of y'all's relationship, especially off?
That's everything. To hear that, that's everything. You know what I mean? Is because if we're out here just because of X's and O's, then we're out here for the wrong reasons. So to hear that, that just warms my heart, because it's about the relationships, and I don't want to disappoint them, and you hope they don't want to disappoint you, and that's how we're going to continue to grow and get better. And that's what we talk about. We just worry about every single day, get a little bit better every day. But no, that means a lot. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm just so extremely proud of her. I knew what she was capable of. And Talia is just now finding out what she's capable of. And so there's been a lot of conversations that her and I have had. And I love the way that she's performing every single day.
How many times did you start to head toward the wrong bench, the wrong locker room?
Well, I did come out the wrong way in the tunnel. I will say that. I think the habits of coming out the home side tunnel, I definitely did that a couple times at the beginning.
What coaches always talk about responses, and obviously you came into today off of a huge win. How did you prepare your team to respond in the right way and build off of the win over Notre Dame?
Yeah, one of the things we talked about is you can't be a one-hit wonder. Like, this needs to be who we are. You know, we came back after Christmas break, and to be quite honest, we finally got healthy. You know, we had a really, really tough non-conference schedule. We were on the roads. We were dealing with a lot of nagging injuries, and I think the Christmas break, we were able to come back, get reset, and we talked about what our identity is we had to get back to defending and rebounding to a really high level. And I think that's what you've seen in these last 2 games. And, you know, with that, you know, we're scoring more because we're able to create, you know, more points from our defense. And so I think it's just, I love that I'm seeing the confidence grow. Like, that's everything, you know, and they're becoming this team, and you see the chemistry. And, you know, we got good production from our bench today. I mean, you talk about Jada came off, you know, those 9 points, 5 rebounds were phenomenal. You know, with Kat, she's been consistently scoring, and I thought even Sav coming in with her defense and her energy, I mean, in those 8 minutes, she had an impact on this game. And so that's as a coach is what you like. If you can have 8 or 9 depth, like, you're going to have a chance to win a lot of games.
Like you mentioned, Kat with those 3 threes in a row
Yeah.
to start the second quarter. I mean, how special is it also, though, for your team to know to keep, you know, feeding her when she knows she's hot?
It's great. You know, Kat early on had to play a lot of point guards minutes, and so we've put a lot of responsibility on Erica Moon as we've kind of come into conference play. And, you know, Erica's a true point guard, and she is one hell of a point guard. So I'm like, selfishly, I want to keep her out there for 40 minutes. And what it does is it does allow Kat to be Kat. You know, like, she's allowed to be at the wing. And we've seen that the last 2 games, and she's been able to hit 3, 4 threes. And so it just makes us better, you know, in those moments. And so, you know, Kat she just plays so fast. I don't know if I've ever coached a player that's as fast as her. And, you know, sometimes we just got to get her to calm down. But I just love how she plays. She has such an energy. It's infectious. You know, she's a joy to coach. And so I'm thankful that she's here at Georgia Tech.
You talked about the relationships that make this business what it is for you. And we hear a lot of coaches talk about their relationships with opposing coaches. They played together, they played against each other, coached against each other, saw each other on the recruiting trail. Before tonight's game, Adia Barnes gave you some flowers, and the PA announcer read off your list of accolades, what you did at SMU. Do you have a past relationship with Coach Barnes, and what was that moment like for you?
Yeah, you know what? I just told her, I said, this is absolutely classy. You know what I mean? Like, you just talk about being first class. I appreciate, you know, that moment, acknowledging, you know, coming back here, an alumni, and, you know, what I've, you know, being a big part of the program. You know, it's like one of those things, you hang your banners and your championships as a player and a coach, and it's, you know, nice to just be recognized for that. So Adia and I, yeah, you know, like you said, we've seen each other on the recruiting trail. We've been at the ACC meetings, so I'm like, you know, I have a lot of respect for her, and, you know, I know she'll do good things here.
How close is your team to taking on the style and personality that you played with and coached with?
I think we're getting pretty close to it. It's one of those things, you know, as a coach, you know, there's intensity, but then there has to be a calmness. And so we talk about this a lot. Like, for me, is like, there has to be this humbleness and this hunger. And I think right now that's what I'm starting to see in them is like, you know, we're just going to play really hard, and we play together, and we play the game the right way. Like, that's what it has to be. And in those moments, you know, everybody's going to have their turn and their time. But yeah, that's the fun part of like being a head coach now is when you start to kind of look back and, you know, you're like, oh, okay, this is what this is starting to look like now, right? You know, and I have a great relationship. Like, that's what I said with Erica. You know, it's like the same relationship I had with Rhonda when I was here, and now kind of building that with Erica. You know, she's starting to understand my intensity a little bit, but then there has to be like a certain calmness. But we work hard. Our staff works really hard to build the relationships with them, because if you don't have the relationships, then there isn't trust. And so for us, that is, you know, in order for me to get the best out of them, we have to spend that time and build that trust. And I think that's what I'm most proud of right now is you can tell that you may not like what your role is, but you trust the process and you trust me, and you know, we'll continue to get better. And when your moment's ready, be ready for your moment.